Hey, are you a high achiever who struggles with perfectionism? Do you get stuck in the cycle of overthinking? Do you do everything for everyone else because you think otherwise it won't get done? Do you feel like you should come with a disclaimer? Hi, I'm anxious. Hey, I'm Katy. Full disclosure, I'm not a therapist, doctor, or mental health professional. I'm just a career mama who also struggles with anxiety. For me, anxiety reared its head at the most inconvenient times when I wanted to be present with my family, at those high pressure business meetings, when I was laying in bed awake at night worrying instead of sleeping. I just wanted to relax and be able to have fun, and I know that you do too. What if you found tools to manage your anxiety? What if you knew how to enjoy life even though you are anxious? Look, it's time to put down that third cup of coffee and swap it for some lemon water. We're going to get control over anxiety so it can stop controlling you. Let's go, girl. Sweet soul, welcome to the Hi, I'm Anxious podcast. I'm Katy Doll, your hostess, and I'm so glad that you're spending some time with me today. I'm continuing our series regarding boundaries. So if you haven't already listened to episodes 124 and 125, the last two episodes, pause this one and go back and do that. I make my episodes short and sweet so that they can be immediately actionable for you because, sweet soul, it's important for me that you're not just consuming but also learning through doing. I think that that is something that we as anxious high achievers might at times skip because of how capable we are, but it's really important for me. So that's why I do things the way that I do around here on the Hi, I'm Anxious podcast. So if you have already listened to those episodes and done your homework, this next one is for you. So in the last episode, I talked to you about paying attention to how you feel about the decisions that you've made regarding boundaries, or in other words, the boundaries that you have set for yourself. And I want you to be doing this in real life, paying attention to everyday situations that are coming up for you at home, at work, in your personal life, regarding how you treat yourself, regarding how you interact with others. It's really important for you to be doing this so that it's actually helpful and actionable for you. So once you have identified how you are feeling or the emotions that you're experiencing around boundary decisions that you have made, the next step is to reevaluate the boundary if you are not happy with it in some way, shape, or form. And so there are some things that I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit around this, but it's just important to take time to reflect. If you don't like it, what might you do differently in future so that you can prepare for it in advance and not be caught off guard when the situation comes up again and it's time for you to set that boundary? I think it's really important for us to be prepared for this so that you get better and better about how you feel about the boundary decisions that you're making in your life and the impact that that has on your life. So now, sweet soul, I want you to take some time to evaluate or reflect on the boundary that you set, how it made you feel, and does that ultimately align with your personal values, your personal needs, your personal desires? And I want you to spend some time writing this out because I think that writing is a powerful way to help you process. So sit down with pen and paper and reflect on these things. How did it feel to you when you set that boundary? How did it feel to you afterward? Did it align with your own core values, your needs, your desires and preferences and wants? Because those things are important, sweet high achiever. And I want you to keep in mind too that it's okay to adjust. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this. Maybe you didn't like it, but you're choosing not to adjust in future. That's fine. But I want you to at least bring into your conscious awareness how you're feeling about your boundaries and how they're impacting you in your life. And as you do this exercise, I want to kind of give you some caveats or heads up or things to look for and keep in mind as you do the exercise, okay? So I think it's really important to be mindful of the reason or the why that you set a boundary, and then also how you did it, because I think that those two things can be different. What was the reason that you set the boundary that you were going to pack and take your lunch to work every single day this week? Was it because you're trying to save money? Was it because you're trying to be healthy? It's important to pay attention to the reasons that you're setting boundaries. So you're not doing it arbitrarily and you're being really mindful in order to get you to where you want to be and how you want to feel in your life. And then I also want you to think about the how you set the boundary. So if you decided to pack your lunch every day this week, did you set yourself up for success, for example? Did you decide to do this on a week where you had no time to grocery shop, no time to food prep, no budget for eating out, and you set this boundary to bring your lunch, a healthy lunch every day, with absolutely no supports in place for you to be able to do that? Maybe that wasn't the week to do that. So think about why you set the boundary in the first place and then how you are setting it for yourself or how you're deciding about it. I also want you to not be afraid to communicate openly, first with yourself and then with others. And I really, really want you to think about how you're communicating with yourself about boundary decisions that you're setting. Are you being very conscious and aware about these decisions that you're making about boundaries for you in your life? And are you taking the time to think about the why and the how? Maybe some don't require as much time and effort as others, but maybe some do, especially decisions that are going to make a major impact on your life. Like, for example, should I marry this person? Yes or no? Should I leave this job and take this other job offer that I have? Those kinds of decisions, aka boundaries, can be really, really impactful on your life long term. So they may require a little bit more time and effort. But I want you to be communicating with yourself about that. And then also don't be afraid to communicate with others around this. And I think that this is something that as anxious high achievers, we really struggle with. We tend to be people pleasers. And so it's hard for us to sit down, say with our significant other and say, hey, I'm really discouraged how things went with us last weekend. We, were snipping at each other all weekend long and we didn't get much done around our house. And can we talk about that and how that happened? Or, hey, we had agreed as a partnership to do XYZ project, but then things went off the rails and I'm not really comfortable with how we ended up handling that. Can we talk about that now? So be willing to communicate openly with yourself and others around your boundary decisions. Also, I want you to be self-compassionate with yourself regarding these boundaries. In other words, don't beat yourself up regarding decisions that you made. Don't beat yourself up for not making a decision. Don't beat yourself up for the reasons you did, but just try really hard to offer yourself some compassion for your humanness and stay open and curious, because that's going to get you farther in this work around boundaries than being hard on yourself or beating yourself up. Okay, sweet soul. And I know that that's something that's really hard for you. And then finally, don't be afraid to seek support. Sometimes you need to talk this out with others. Maybe you struggle with eating well and you struggle with setting boundaries around that, but you know somebody who seems to do it really well and you'd like to tap their expertise or their knowledge about how they make this work for them in their lives. Or maybe you just need to reflect verbally with somebody how you're doing regarding setting boundaries in a certain area of your life and you need a safe space to do that. Don't be afraid to seek some support to do this. It's important to do the work for yourself, but sometimes you need somebody to hold up a mirror, especially for those things I think that have been ongoing issues for us or ingrained patterns for a really long time. It can be hard to see the forest for the trees, so don't be afraid to seek help. One safe place to do that is my free Facebook group. If you're not already a member, please come join. The link to join is in the show notes. It's an incredible community full of wonderful, warm, encouraging, talented, incredible, high-achieving women just like you and I. We're there to support, encourage, uplift one another, and we'd love to have you there. You can come into the group and seek some support out from us if you'd like to do that. I'd love to see you. Again, the link to join is in the show notes. That's all I've got for you today, sweet soul. I think this one's a little bit heavy and this one might take you some time. So I hope that you might also set some time boundaries for yourself to block off some work to do this for yourself, whether that's getting up a little early and sitting down with a journal and pen, hiring a sitter so you can get some alone time for yourself, asking your partner to take the kids so that you can have some time. Maybe you actually take a lunch break for once at work. Set that boundary for yourself and give yourself that 30 minutes sitting down in a comfy place with maybe a yummy lunch on the side, working on your homework. I just really want to encourage you to do this as an act of self-love and self-care, sweet soul. That's all I've got for you today. I can't wait to talk with you next week, sweet friend. Thanks for being here. Take care. Hey friend, thanks for being here. Did today's episode help you feel more in control of your anxiety? Did it inspire you to rest or relax? Or maybe it challenged you to really look at why anxiety is a part of your life? If so, I'd love to hear from you. If you would take 30 seconds, pause this episode, scroll down in Apple Podcasts, and leave me a review, I would be so grateful. See you next week. Disclaimer, I am not a medical professional, and this podcast is not providing therapy or medical treatment. Contents of the podcast are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider with your health questions and concerns.